And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. You will find Great Lakes Honda City open Monday through Saturday for sales and service. And of course, you can get in touch with them by going to greatlakeshondacity.com and checking out their inventory of new and used cars, including my favorite, the CRV. Inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, here on today's broadcast, we have a double dose of the Dolphin Dive inside of MonPazPopcorn.com is what's popping. We're going to start off with Benji Ries inside the Moyne Dolphins 2025 baseball season with a playoff push, and then we will have Phil Brown, Assistant VP of Intercollegiate Athletics and Campus Rec, speaking on his first 100 days in office at Moyne, and then we'll get into the NFL Draft, which is coming up tomorrow for those of you watching and listening live. So with that being said, let's go picture in picture with Mr. Ries. Benji, how are we doing today?
I'm great, Dan. Thanks for having me on, and good morning.
Absolutely, and a good morning to you. And I'll jump right into it with you. Just this season, this 2025 season, Moyne baseball was one of two sports, Moyne baseball and Moyne women's lacrosse, that were Division I at a certain point when Moyne has been Division II forever. What can you say about this return to Division I for a program that used to be there, knowing that we're 2 seasons into the return to Division I, and you guys are doing a heck of a job letting people know that you're back?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned the second season part because I remember us talking about this very topic last year, and I can really speak to the second year being a lot different than the first. Definitely having that history of being Division One in the past was really cool to return to that stage and make some noise. But this is the first Division One recruiting class we brought in officially since we made the change, and it being our second year at the Division One level, we definitely kind of got the adjustments out of the way last year, and this year has felt completely different in terms of it just being the norm. And our standard and the way we go about our business this year has really been elevated. I think that's a testimony to having done it last year. And so I think it's not a surprise that this year has been a little bit better for our team throughout the course of the season because we've made that adjustment and we've raised our standard to this Division One level.
And Benji, you talk about the adjustments. What are some of the things that are tangible to you from last season to this season in the return to Division One that you feel like have really given dividends at this point, those adjustments?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is just the mentality of facing bigger teams early in the season for our non-conference schedule. Last year, it's a little bit of an adjustment mentally when you go up and face a team like St. Louis or Radford, who we ended up actually beating. But this year, when we head into Watford, there's no surprise in what we're capable of doing. And there's no surprise when things go well. And so having understood that and having done that before, understanding that no matter what team we play, that we are good enough to be on the stage has really been key. And, that's been essential over the course of the season.
And like you said, some of those matches that you had last season, I remember the Radfords and the St. Louis's and starting on the road with Houston Baptist and whatnot. I mean, you guys definitely tested yourself last season. Does that carry over too? I know that, each season is different, but what you went through last season and the gamut that you kind of ran early, did that do something for this team that could even be seen this season?
Definitely, yeah. You play those games so that you can prepare yourself for conference. And Lemoyne's obviously, as you know, in an interesting situation where we can't compete for a regional. And so our World Series, it's our conference games. And those non-conference games earlier in the year prepare you for that. And so whether you're facing better pitching or better hitters, you're essentially using that kind of preseason, figure out a lineup and really dial it in for conference play. And so understanding that the focus when you play those games is on ourselves as a team. What can we do? How can we play our brand of baseball? And our coaches have done a good job of emphasizing that and making sure that you carry that over to conference play. And so you're not as dialed into the results, but whether, how we go about our business and how we hit the ball, how we field the ball, how we throw the ball, you have that internal focus and that's going to carry you on to success in conference play.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, looking at conference play and what you do to kind of go through this, right? What you do to experience the non-conference play, getting you ready for conference play. What have been some of your favorite matchups, some of your best moments that you think that, because looking at this season itself, I know you started off with Tennessee Tech, University of South Carolina upstate. You brought up Wofford, and then you started to get into conference play right after that with FDU as well as University of Maryland Eastern Shore and so on and so forth. Norfolk State also a part of this. So what did you experience early on? Was it really Wofford, or is there another matchup that you think kind of stuck out and let you guys know potentially who you could be?
Yeah, I mean, this season's definitely been very interesting. We started off super slow. You could look at our schedule. We didn't get a win for a while, and that was really mentally hard for us to overcome. But the fact that we went through that and understood that, listen, this is baseball, and sometimes funny things happen, and everything just wasn't going right for us at the start. We couldn't figure out how to get a win, and finally we get to FDU and kind of overcome that hump and just get a W on the board. Having gone through that has made this team so much stronger because we knew the entire time that our record didn't reflect our talent level. We've always had this internal belief that this is a very talented team,
Yeah.
and this is the team that can make noise in our conference tournament. And so understanding that while you're going through the thick of it earlier in that year with our non-conference games, that, listen, we could get all caught up in the results here, but we know that we're better than what's happening. That was really key for us because that's something that myself, I've never gone through that before, and a lot of guys on the team share that. The Wofford series was fun. That's really when our offense started to come alive against a very talented and very well-coached Wofford team.
Yeah.
And so that was really fun. And even though the results didn't end up being what we wanted, the fact that we're able to go into a place like Wofford and kick their ace out of the first inning, those things internally showed us what kind of team we could be. And that's where the focus was as opposed to the results.
Yeah, and like you said, coming through that and then going into conference play, we look at that victory, like you said, that you got in 7 innings against FDU in the final game in New Jersey, and then University of Maryland Eastern Shore also in the conference of the NEC swept them, and then we look at the going back to the NEC, Norfolk State, you swept them as well in a 3-game series, and then you're able to get a win in the NEC against Wagner. You're able to get a couple victories against Delaware State. So as we look at these pieces, as well as a win against Stonehill, and so in every NEC matchup that you've had, you've been able to pull out something. You've been able to get a victory somewhere within that series, and in some cases win the series. So like you said, your World Series is in the NEC because you can't go to the NCAAs and you can't go to a regional right now due to the transitionary rules. So knowing that within the conference, nobody has swept you up to this point, just what that does for this team, what it means for this team.
Yeah, it's not a surprise. We know that we can compete with anybody. We're, you know, more focused on making sure that we win these series because it's going to come down to a playoff push. But
Yeah.
absolutely, we know that it doesn't matter who's in our conference, that our team is positioned to win the game. And, you going through those series we've had in the conference in the past is interesting to think about because a lot of coaches and a lot of players will talk about finding different ways to win baseball games, right? And some of those you mentioned were games we scored 14, 15 runs and got out of there in 7 innings.
Yeah.
Some of them were, 5-4 or more of a pitcher's duel. And so it's important as we move forward that you can win games in different ways, whether it's our offense, who we're in a really good spot right now, swinging the bat, or it's our defense and our pitching really picking us up and us just finding ways to manufacture runs. And so we have to be able to win baseball games in different ways, and we've been able to do that, and something that we need to continue to do down the line.
And Benji, before I let you go, we keep talking about this playoff push just to let people know where Moyne is at right now in the NEC, knowing that at the time that you and I are talking, we have a bunch of series coming up. We have one in Baltimore, Maryland that starts this Friday, and that is against Coppin State in the NEC. Then you'll have Canisius at home. You'll also have a series with LIU inside of the NEC at home. You'll head to Niagara for a game. You'll go to Mercyhurst in the NEC, and that'll be on the road in Erie, PA. You'll have Albany at home, and then you'll finish things off in the regular season against Central Connecticut State inside of the NEC. So to just bring me into where the team stands right now in this playoff push that you've been talking about.
Yeah, we're feeling great right now. We're currently tied for the last spot for the conference tournament, and one of the teams we're tied with is Coppin State, who we have this weekend. So we're feeling really good. We love where our team's at right now. We understand that every game now is really going to matter, especially this upcoming weekend against Coppin State. So internally, we're feeling great. We're ready to go win a series this weekend, and we're just focused on that game on Friday. Everything else will take care of itself.
Benji, final note here. How has Benji Ries gotten better this season on and off the field?
It's just a level of being comfortable with this level of college baseball. It's my fourth year now. I'm a senior, and so it's been a huge change I noticed from opening day this year, just how comfortable I feel playing baseball at this level and how confident I feel in myself. And it's not really a surprise that things are going well because I have that internal confidence and just showing up to the park every day, whether they need me to catch, play first, DH. I'm all for it. I just want to be in the lineup and help the team win. And so the level of comfortability, I'll say, coming from that 4 years of experience has really shown, and it's felt great.
Comfortability and confidence. Benji Ries and the Moyne Dolphins baseball program. Benji, albeit a few minutes, is always good to have you on the show and have the opportunity to speak with you. So I hope the best for y'all this weekend and as you step forward and to get that spot inside of the NEC so that you can have that World Series inside of the Northeast Conference. Thank you for doing the work that you do, and to all of your student athlete brethren on the team, thank them as well for all the years that I've gotten to cover this team and really get to meet some fantastic people, you included. So my best to you on the diamond, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Thank you so much, Dan.
I'll talk to you in a bit. That coming from Benji Ries one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. The team, as Benji said, has the opportunity to move forward into the postseason. Now, keep in mind, when it comes to the worlds of Moyne right now, because they are in this transitionary period, they are in a place where they cannot compete in the NCAAs because schools that are moving from one division to, if you're moving to Division One, you have to wait 4 years. Now, there is an opportunity that it could be moved down to 3 years, which means that Moyne, they are currently in their second year. They would only have to spend 1 more year in this transitionary period before they could compete in the NCAAs in all sports. So that could take some time down if Moyne does in fact do that and are able to have that secured. Then they will not have to wait the 4-year hiatus period of the transition from Division 2 to Division 1. It would only be 3 years, which means that after next season they could compete in the NCAAs. But for right now, they could compete in the NEC, and thanks to the NEC for making it possible, because the NEC had originally made or had things in place that you couldn't compete in the first 2 years. So that was something that was originally in place for the NEC, is that the NCAA, when you're transitioning from one division up to Division 1, the NCAA says you can't compete in the postseason for the NCAAs for 4 years. And then the NEC had its own rule. You can't compete in their postseason when you transition into their conference from another division. You cannot be a part of their conference tournaments and their conference postseasons until 2 years in residence. They got rid of that and let Moyne compete right away, which is why this opportunity even exists, that Moyne can get into the postseason. And the baseball team currently right now in the NEC, Central Connecticut State is first. They will face them at home in their final series of the regular season. Wagner is second. They also have LIU on the schedule coming up. They are third, in Coppin State. So everything's ahead of Moyne. If Moyne takes care of business and they defeat the teams ahead of them, they have an opportunity to get into the postseason and make some noise. And inside of the NEC, like you heard Benji say, that's their World Series, because they're in a place where they would have to, inside of the NEC, that's as far as they can go because they can't compete in the NCAAs. So Central Connecticut State, Wagner, LIU, Coppin State, all ahead of Moyne. Behind Moyne, Stonehill, who has the same record in conference, 11-7, and so does Coppin State. And then FDU, Mercyhurst, Delaware State, Maryland Eastern Shore, and Norfolk State. Now keep in mind that in the baseball world, they have associate members inside of the NEC. So those that are not full members, Norfolk State, Maryland Eastern Shore, Delaware State, and Coppin State are all members in baseball, but not full members inside of the NEC. Those are associate members. To give you a little background of the conference that Lemoyne is in, they're full members in the NEC, the Northeast Conference: Central Connecticut State, Chicago State, FDU, Lemoyne, LIU, Mercyhurst, St. Francis, who's dropping to Division III after this year, Stonehill, and Wagner. The associate members: Binghamton in men's golf, men's tennis, and women's tennis, Cleveland State in men's lacrosse, Coppin State in baseball, Damon in men's volleyball, Delaware State in baseball, women's golf, women's lacrosse, and women's soccer, Detroit Mercy in men's lacrosse, Duquesne in football and in women's bowling, Deauville in men's volleyball, Fairfield in field hockey, Howard in men's soccer, men's swimming, women's lacrosse, men's golf, and women's golf. Howard should just be a part of the NEC as a full member. Merrimack in field hockey is still there, despite the fact that Merrimack decided to leave the conference as a full member and join the MAAC. Maryland Eastern Shore in baseball, men's golf, and women's golf, Monmouth in women's bowling, Niagara in women's bowling, Norfolk State in baseball, and then North Carolina Central in men's and women's golf, Ryder in field hockey, Robert Morris in football and men's lacrosse, Sacred Heart in field hockey, and which Sacred Heart decided to leave as well, but kept field hockey there, and VMI in men's lacrosse. So keep in mind that Lemoyne does not have men's volleyball. They also don't have bowling, and they also don't have field hockey. So there are some sports that are provided in the NEC that Lemoyne is not a part of, but Lemoyne is a full member of the conference. Their associate memberships, like I said, a very long list, and baseball shows off a bunch of those associate members, and Lemoyne, like I said, is within striking distance of one of those associate members, Coppin State, and then they could obviously make a push against Central Connecticut State and LIU to not only make the postseason, but to put themselves in great positioning for the psyche of the team, beating those teams ahead of them. John Farino, I want to give him a shout out here, said, "Good morning, great job, Benji, always a great interview, Dan, and good morning to Mama as well." We're going to take a step aside for a fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. When we come back, we will have a conversation you won't find anywhere else quite like this. This is an all-new Dolphin Dive, as well as we dive into the first 100 days of Phil Brown in office at Lemoyne, the Assistant VP of Intercollegiate Athletics and Campus Recreation, which is AKA the leader of the athletic department for the Lemoyne College Dolphins, Phil Brown. What have the first 100 days been like? What is on his mind? And what are the big topics surrounding collegiate athletics nationally that we have on the docket for Lemoyne? Find all of that out after this fast break from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Stay with us. Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McInerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Brian and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Brian's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
head to Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music on Sunday. Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business, had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees. And as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there's something about, owning my own company and being able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007. When we first started the business in 2007, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There's a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There's a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those were all things that we saw as opportunities, both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience. It's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really change the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allowing customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality. And I think on both of those fronts, Servomation has really, in large part, changed that value system for employees. So they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water machine, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean to cup coffee machine. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. In a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection, even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees. There's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I can tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We are here in this edition of the Dolphin Dive in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Moyne College Dolphins, celebrating Phil Brown's first 100 days in office. That's right, it's not just presidents that get to do this. So Moyne Assistant Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics and Campus Rec, Phil Brown at Moyne College in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Phil, first and foremost, congratulations on the first 100.
Hey, thanks, man. It's been really good across the board between the folks here at Moyne, the folks in Syracuse, the folks in upstate New York. I've settled in really well, and I'm incredibly happy to be here.
And when you reflect on making the decision, you were in the SEC. You and I have spoken about this. You were over at Vanderbilt. Reflecting on it, hindsight 2020, why would you pick Le Moyne today, looking back at when you picked Le Moyne 100 days ago?
Nothing's changed. They're very mission forward. I've got to live that mission the last 100 days. I've got to experience our very unique inside the L and the way we approach things. I've got to see how that resonates with the student athletes. Um, it was a concept when I made the decision. It's a reality now, and it's a reality that I wouldn't trade. Uh, you know, House case is supposed to be settled sometime in this week. They keep saying. Um, Things like that are motivating factors on why you leave the Southeastern Conference. It's going to be a different type of environment in the very near future, and coming to a place here in the Northeastern Conference now, and especially Le Moyne, gives us the ability to really get to drive mission and the values and the why we do things.
Yeah, and you talked about nothing's changed. You'd make the same decision. What is it about inside the L? To describe that a little bit deeper, Le Moyne is blank. What is that blank that has stayed consistent with you?
Hmm. This year, the focus is be the change. Um, the Sunday playbook, and you get to see the reflection, of the student athletes and what be the change means to them, and the thought process that they put into it. So Des Moines is the change. For this year, that's our focus, and you get to see how the young people evolve and become kind of that next step in their career, their evolution, where they're going.
Yeah.
Le Moyne is that change, that catalyst for those folks. Um, I've said it, many times. What I got in this business for was to make generational changes in people's lives, and this institution in this athletic department, we get to live that every day.
And you talk about that is being the change, making the change. Be the change you want to see in the world. And I believe that was from Gandhi. The be the change that you want to see in the world. How have you, in the first 100 days, felt like you have been the change, a positive thing? Not that you're shifting something at Le Moyne, but to be the change. What are you doing at Le Moyne in these first 100 days that you feel like has been a tangible positive?
Yeah, hopefully stabilizing, right? We're in a environment now in NCAA athletics where change is the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Here at Le Moyne, it's compounded because they made a decision to change to NCAA Division One. Then there was a change in the athletic director, all while the governing body is changing, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully, in these first 100 days, I've been able to come in and help to stabilize and bring the focus back to what change we initiated, right? We initiated let's become Division One. Hopefully, I become a stabilizing factor both here in the event center with our staff and athletics, but also up the hill and just kind of helping the folks in the rest of the college understand what becoming Division One means for all of us, not just the athletic department.
Yeah, and in that move, like you had made mention, Phil, Vanderbilt and the SEC with this House settlement freeing up $20 million, right? That a school has to find this money and give it to their student athletes, figure out how to do it, how they're going to do it with collectives and individual contracts and whatnot. With this House settlement, what does it do for Le Moyne and the NEC? Like you said, the SEC is going to be different than the NEC. So when that House settlement comes through, is there an expectation and a number that Le Moyne has to abide by now? Because, 20 million, we're talking about football centric schools. So where does the House settlement affect a Le Moyne?
It's in. Let's remember, it's permissible if you choose to opt in, right? So They do not have to spend the full $20 million. So they're all looking for a competitive advantage. So they'll choose to spend that much, right? In practice. We don't know how it works yet because it's not real. NCAA did loosen up some bylaws yesterday to make it all, functionally proper, but it's not been approved. There's not really an in-practice methodology for it yet. How does it work? But it's all just permissible, right? So on the financial side, nothing has to change for any institution unless you choose for it to change. At Moyne in particular, I think that one of the elements that is not always talked about is the roster limits. And I know that Judge Wilkin, in her review and what she asked to have looked at by the defendant side of the NCAA was these roster limits. And I think that's where the impact for us can happen. Some schools have been hoarding talent, we'll call it. And so there are Division I kids who may lose roster spots depending on how this plays out and, what she does allow to happen in this settlement. Those roster limits at bigger schools may push some young folks who want to continue competing into looking in the transfer portal. Well, we are maybe a landing spot because we haven't opted in. We're not subject to the roster limits as of yet. And even if we were, some of our sports still have some room to grow. So we do have some sports that could be receivers in that space, even if we were to opt in. So that's, I do see some upside for us in how it can work. And again, it's permissible, not required to spend $20 million. So in the future, if we find ourselves in that path, we'll do our homework and we'll do our studies and, the discernment that comes with it. But really no change. We don't have to make a change. And the best part is, honestly, when they sent out the request to the D1 athletic directors, because we're still transitioning, I didn't get the email. I wasn't even asked to opt in yet. So we're at least a year out from that.
Well, and that's, so you have the opportunity to see, right? You have the opportunity to see how these things develop because you're in such a unique situation as you are one of the transition schools going from one division to the next D2 to D1 in the NCAA, and in year 2 of it, about to be in year 3 of it when May comes around. So for you, Phil, positives and negatives of opting in or not opting in. When you look at that, you look at these first 100 days, you look at, like you said, being the change and trying to be a good change agent as you go to Division I and letting people know exactly what that means. Positives and negatives of, yes, we're going to opt in, or no, we're going to be different.
Positives would be so you opt in. On the positive side, you're allowed to understand some certainties. Here are the roster limits. Here are the parameters of what we can do. Here's the salary cap per se, should we want to participate. That's the positives for us. The positives of not opting in come down to helping out with enrollment management. If we don't opt in and we become, like I said, receivers, how big could we grow some of our sports if we chose? Does it make sense to carry that many kids? Maybe not. That may not be the right answer either. But you could use it as an enrollment management tool should you choose to. You could, continue to live in the same old scholarship model. You're looking for a competitive advantage, and that's what the House settlement is intended to do. Look, at the end of the day, it's designed to protect the collegiate model to an extent. Had it not been settled, the antitrust treble damages would have been crippling. The college model falls apart. So you settle it. You change the rules a little bit. But schools like Moyne, we don't necessarily swim in that pool just yet, right? So either or, as we grow into what Division I looks like for us, we're not in that model. We get to grow into whatever the model becomes. So to weigh a positive and a negative at this point in time, I don't know that we have the data set. The folks that I recruit against, do I need a competitive advantage, or will there be enough schools of my size in our conference that are opting in versus not opting in? Where does that competitive advantage come into it? That's the questions that we'll have to answer down the road.
Yeah, and Phil, like you said, you get to see it, and you get to see who opts in. If the NEC, if the majority of the membership says, yeah, we're going to do it, or they say we're not, because right, you're supposed to be in a conference with like-minded institutions. So if the majority are in and you're recruiting against these institutions, then it kind of puts you in a place. Do you feel like Lemoyne? I know we're coming off of Giving Day, and I know that there was a wonderful Giving Day. There was things that were asked of donor numbers, and that was amazing. There was a lot that went to athletics. There was a lot that went to the school overall. If you were put in a situation where you would have, if you did opt in and you're supposed to have this revenue base for student athletes, which they may really very much want, do you feel like Lemoyne can do that? Because you and I have talked about philanthropy. We've talked about, you having a lot of experience in raising money and things that you did at Vanderbilt. Do you feel that if Lemoyne says, yes, you know what, we're going to get hurt if we don't free up revenue and opt into this house settlement, because people aren't going to want to come here if they don't have the resources that other places have? Do you feel like your experience, what you've done and what Lemoyne has shown you in a short amount of time, that the philanthropy will be there to facilitate being able to essentially have this money, these resources, and that the bottom doesn't fall out?
Well, let's be very clear. No one in the NEC is spending $20 million. So take everything I'm about to say with, if we have to be in a space where we're competing with like-minded folks, I do firmly believe that because of who we are, our mission, and if we do NIL in a mission-driven way, that I do have the support in the community with my alumni base to do it, but it would be in the Lemoyne way. It would be focused on name, image, and likeness that's for the betterment of the Syracuse and greater upstate New York community. Would not be a pay-for-play model like you're seeing at the big schools. Ours would be a version that is what we are. It's who we are. We couldn't do it any other way. It wouldn't attract the type of student that we want. So even if there is an appetite for it and they have to have it, it still has to align with values. It still has to align with what we're doing, or it just doesn't make sense. Why would you put yourself in a position to not be true to your values, your character, everything that you've worked so hard to build? It doesn't make sense just to do it because everyone else is doing it. So it would be a model built on doing it our way, doing it the right way, doing it a way that gives Dolphins worldwide a sense of pride. And again, the best part is, I'm going to take that step back to make sure that everybody listening understands, we get to see how this works. We get to see the reality. There are schools in our neighborhood who have said yes. What does it actually look like? Does it fit? There's a Catholic school in Western New York that has said yes. What does it look like for them? How do they implement it? What are the values that they're putting into it? I think that is my greatest benefit in having this job, is I get to learn and study before I make any decision.
Well, and I think you said something that we don't hear a lot, Phil. You said, how are we going to put essentially our morals and our values, our identity into this, right? Because what we're seeing in collegiate athletics right now is a changing of the model, a changing of identity, a distortion of identity, a pay-for-play kind of pro, but we're going to call it amateur, but it's really not. You said if Lemoyne's going to do it, we're going to do it our way. Do you feel like that opt-in, opt-out, that what the NCAA is doing and with the house settlement, that there is still that wiggle room, there is still that area that you can be yourselves and evolve? Because I think some people see it black and white. They say you're either opting in and it's a pay-for-play model and the world that we knew is gone, or you're going to opt out and you're going to try and focus on the student and student athlete. How do you bridge the gap and essentially, whatever you do, you get to stay Lemoyne? Because that's a question that I asked well before you got there, is if you're going to Division I, how does Lemoyne stay Lemoyne? And you just echoed that. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you can preserve the sanctity of the Jesuit institution and the values you have while also evolving.
Tennessee was a rivalry when I was at Vanderbilt, right? And I'm not going to try to put anything into the story because I haven't called down there to ask the folks I know. But if you look at the situation with the quarterback at Tennessee, Tennessee got to do it their way. At the end of the day, that student athlete chose to transfer because Tennessee had to make decisions. There wasn't an alignment of values with Tennessee. That is going to be my assumption on how that played out, just knowing how it works. It's no different than, why do some free agents leave their professional team? You don't see eye to eye with the owner. So, however, the ownership here at the Bills runs their organization, not everybody may see eye to eye, and you end up having a free agent who has to leave. Well, that's okay. That is what we're going to be able to do at the collegiate level. You're going to attract student athletes who want to be in that model that you're presenting. What they're doing at Vanderbilt is not what they're doing at Tennessee, is not what we're going to do at Moyne, is not what they're going to do at Ohio State University. There's still a certain element to each of these institutions. What makes them special? How did you get so special? Why is it the Ohio State University, right? That can't change. That identity ultimately that drives the rest of that student body will come into play. And I think not enough is being made of that sure, you're going to have to make decisions in a different way, but they still have to align with ultimately who you are. And look, these big state schools, they represent the state. So as politics play out, sometimes those are appointed positions where, the board is picking the president's picking the AD, and the politics may play into it. Well, you're going to see how that works in these spaces, right? We're very fortunate. We're a private institution, so our values are, put to us by the Jesuits. So that's how we're going to make our decisions. I don't see that it's going to be just financially driven. I think you're beginning to see the market is already correcting to who is making the ultimate decision at each institution. Sure, in the early days, it's going to be weird. It's going to be awkward, but you're still going to recruit to what fits the system. You're still going to recruit to the values. There's no head coach who isn't still putting their motto up on the wall. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And so that's just how we'll lead here. That's the example that we'll get to provide. Even in whatever the change is, we get to, again, this year's Inside the L, we get to be the change. So we're going to survive it and focus based off of what it is that we built here.
Yeah, coming here from Phil Brown, Moyne College Assistant VP of Intercollegiate Athletics and Campus Rec in the first 100 days. Phil, you have this really easy job, right? You are leading athletics at a time with name, image, and likeness, the transfer portal, realignment. There are conference games that are being played that are over 2,000 miles apart. And if you drove in a car, it would be over 30 hours, plus this house settlement. So your first 100 days has been really interesting. So I will tell you, you picked a perfect time to be the leader of an athletic department. How have you reflected on the fact that your first 100 days, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, would have included none of these things that I'm talking about? Name, image, and likeness, or the transfer portal, realignment, but not realignment to the degree where it's completely just distorting any type of rivalries or any type of geographical connection. So first 100 days for you in this current climate that is so very unique. Why did you run into the storm and not away from
it? I'm an accountant by trade, so sometimes I still think like a good cost accountant, right? What's my ultimate product? My product is not the sporting event that people get to come and enjoy. My product is well-rounded young people with degree in hand. At the end of the day, I'm going to run to that every chance I get. How can I make a change in people's lives? How can I make them better? How can I help them achieve their goals? So regardless of all of the inputs coming from anything that's outside of my control, what is in my control is my ability to want to help people achieve their goals and get where they want to be. I'm not designed to run away from the hard stuff. I'm designed to run to it. And so, yeah, you said easy job. Sure, why not? It's easy. If you allow yourself to understand you can only control so much, so let's control those things. Let's control the relationships I get to build with young people. I traveled with our women's golf team down to their NCAA championship. I got to sit and have dinner with a bunch of young women who blew me away. Just the way they talk, the way they carry themselves, everything about them blew me away. And I get to be a very small part of their life, helping them to achieve their goals, whether it's athletic or academic, into the future. What do you want to do? Yeah, who doesn't want to run through that? This is still a great industry to be in. It's a crazy time. It is, like you said, when I started, this is not what we did. It's not how we acted. But again, being part of change, hopefully all change leads to the better. How do you make it better, when you left, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. No matter what it is on the outside that I can't control, let's control the things I can.
Well, and you talk about the quality of person, which I can speak to at Moyne, spending a lot of time with student athletes that are coming in, with students, with administration, with coaches. How have you had the conversation with coaches about, yeah, we're transitioning from D2 to D1. Yes, we have all these things going on. Yes, there's the house settlement. Yeah, we're trying to figure out NIL and what we're going to do with that. There's the transfer portal. We're going to get kids. We might lose some kids. What have been the pillars, essentially, of the conversations with the coaches, knowing that the quality of person on campus at Moyne is unique? I can speak to that uniqueness. I can speak to the level of character at Moyne because I've been around it and I've seen it for years. Preserving that character, what's been the message to the coaches?
Yeah, I talked a lot about culture, kind of an upside down pyramid per se, right? So, at the top of the pyramid, the biggest level is campus. What is the Moyne culture? How does Moyne do things? You got to have a mix of people who want to be part of that first and foremost. If you want a Catholic Jesuit, education in the state of New York, that's step one, right? Kind of the second layer going down in the pyramid is the culture of the athletic department. That's what's next. So is there thought process on how Inside the L can help mold you and create you? How do we as an athletic department, bring ourselves out in the community as great partners, doing community service? You and I talked to the folks at the Crawfish Festival, had a great email conversation today. I'm volunteering at that. So that's part of the athletic department culture. And then down at the bottom of the pyramid, the tip of the spear, that's the team culture. How does that fit in? That it's a layered effect. Get all the way down to the team, but you have to be part of the department, and then you have to be part of the university. And that's kind of the guiding principle, that first pillar right now of how do we get through this? Well, we have a shared culture. We have a shared experience. And if we're all willing to be part of that, then I think we move forward. We get over the challenges of becoming Division I because we can see that we'll get to be a change agent even in what that looks like down the road.
And for you, Phil, also within these 100 days, first 100 days, you've been involved with a coaching search and finding a volleyball coach, and Fiona Cunningham coming from East Carolina University. Bring me into that, because obviously as the leader of the athletic department, you will have decisions being made when it comes to coaches, and in the first 100 days, you have had one of those moments. So bring me into the background, kind of behind the scenes of what that moment was like and finding the right person for the program.
Yeah, first and foremost, incredibly excited that Fiona is our head coach. She rose to the top through the process. I'm a very much a person who wants everyone to experience and grow in their career. We have a great SWA in Liza, and I challenge her to lead a committee for me, help to put some people on it. From internally, we need to make sure that, again, culturally speaking, they fit in. But important for me was alumni engagement in this space. So we reached out to 2 alumni and asked them to be part of our committee. They are volleyball Dolphins. Forever, that's who they are. It's part of their identity. And I needed their input. I needed them to be part of it. So for me, when I make the sausage, I want all the ingredients, put in there. And they're a key ingredient for me. I let a committee really run it. I did have input. I could see all the resumes, and I did say, hey, could you talk to this person or that person? But at that point, I stepped back and allowed the team to really do the heavy lift to identify the right couple of candidates that we did bring in. And after that, it was asking those questions about the culture. How are you going to, assimilate to what we do here? You do get to be that tip of the spear per se, but What about the other stuff? How does that impact you? How are you willing to do that? Really making sure that I got to hear from the candidates the kind of that value piece that goes in with that. And Fiona was the one who nailed it. She really understood. She does have upstate connections. Her dad's from Kaz, and so kind of a little bit of a coming home for her. So really great to welcome her back to the community that she spent a lot of her childhood in. Um, and hopefully get on your show here in the near future. She had orientation today, so today's actually the first of many days with her. It was kind of day one today.
Yeah, and congratulations once again to Fiona, and happy to have you be a part of the family. Before we jump into rapid fire, I want to give you the opportunity in this first 100 days of any final note that we haven't made, be it the student and student athlete, how they're doing in the classroom, or if there's something else that you've kind of fixated on in these first 100 days that you'd like to share that we haven't addressed yet.
Sure. I mean, we had 5 medalists in some winter sports. Always a great achievement. I've got a men's sports team that I'm a superstitious guy, even though I shouldn't be, who's doing really well. Stay tuned. Some cool things could happen here on campus in the future if it all plays out right. So our student athletes are being really great athletes. From a student standpoint, I inherited a program that has had success in the GPA space. It's not going downhill. We're still challenging in that space. I think to end it, I need to end on gratitude. Again, I have experienced just genuine kindness in many different parts of the community. It's very welcoming. And so just, again, gratitude for Giving Day, gratitude for being welcome to the community, gratitude just kind of across the board. That's kind of where my heart is right now, just a big sense of thanks.
Coming from Phil Brown. Well, Phil, you've answered all my questions, so you will put me on the hot seat. I will not put you. You can ask me any 3 questions in the world. We've played it before, but now you get full control of the next 3 questions. What's your first one?
What's your favorite mud season? I'm going with mud season activity here in Syracuse. This kind of melted snow, everything's wet. I tried to go for a hike the other day. My boots were covered in mud. What's your favorite mud season activity?
Oh, man. Watching Daredevil on Disney Plus. No, I would say probably I do, but I would say, probably taking a walk with my dog, or going for a hike out in Oswego or something like that. I think also to go to Ithaca, go to the gorges and whatnot. I think for me, I've had football games in torrential downpours, and I've gone out and kind of put myself in the waterfall area when the weather's not as nice. So I would say in mud season, you'll probably find me curled up with my dog watching something, but there's also the opportunity that you'll find me in nature, because I do think that as much as some people might run from rain, you need rain in order to grow. And I think people are short-sighted thinking that the only thing that needs rain to grow are flowers. People do too. What's your next question?
Hockey postseason's getting started. Who's your pick?
Hockey postseason. Oh, boy. So I'm going to tell you who I'm a fan of, and I love them dearly, and I always will, and we won in 2007. Show them some love. The Anaheim Ducks. Why am I a Duck fan? Because the Mighty Ducks were... the Mighty Ducks are the Mighty Ducks. The ones that we saw in the movies, that was the same logo, and they're back to that logo, by the way. But looking at who's currently in it right now, on the Western side, when I would have to say, personally for me, my second team-ish kind of are the Vegas Golden Knights. So I've had a soft spot for them since they came in, and my buddy Jimmy Delia's dad, Jim Delia Sr., he's a big fan as well. So there's a soft spot for that. On the other side, I would have to have a soft spot for the Lightning, because the Crunch here in Syracuse, that's their farm team for Tampa Bay Lightning. So I would say Tampa on one side, the Knights on the other side, but I'm always kind of leaning on the Knight side, so I'm kind of leaning in the West. That's where my Ducks are. So if my Ducks aren't going to be in it, I'm with the Golden Knights.
All right. And then favorite hot dog toppings?
Good question. So I would say always more mustard than ketchup. but you put mustard on the sides, you put a little bit of ketchup on the top, and sweet relish. And that's where I go. I had 1 year of my life where I had sauerkraut. I'm going to erase that year from my life. It was a bad decision. But I'm going to say that I would probably live with mustard, a little bit of ketchup, definitely sweet relish. And now that you've asked that, I kind of feel compelled to ask you two questions. One, have you had a Cooney, which you only know that in upstate New York. So have you had a Cooney? Some people call it Coney, but we call them Coonies. Have you had one is number one. And number two, what do you put on your hot dog?
So, not officially here. I mean, I've had conies, yes, I could say I have. So there's, I'll eat my hot dogs two ways.
Okay.
I will go chili cheese when necessary, but it's kind of a more of a I've got nothing going the rest of the evening. Let's indulge. But for me, ketchup and sauerkraut.
Okay. Okay.
So that's all I need. If I can go, I love going to an MLB park and then walking over to the condiment bar and just finding that sauerkraut that's sitting out there, and you know it's been there for hours, but it's like, this is perfect. This is what I need right now.
Yeah, I mean, it was like 1 year. It was just the smell. It was something about it. I just went toward it. But ketchup and sauerkraut for Phil Brown. Good to know during baseball season. Moyne, Assistant VP of Intercollegiate Athletics and Campus Rec. His first 100 days have been completed. And as we get set for the rest, we, of course, are here on Wake Up Call in this exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Moyne College in the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Phil, congratulations on 100 days. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of it from the beginning of the beginning when you and I spoke before you even came onto campus. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to do in the next 100.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life, from inside of the Great Lakes Honda City studios. Great Lakes Honda City, there for you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. You can get to Great Lakes Honda City Monday through Saturday for sales and service. You can find out about their inventory of new and used vehicles by going to GreatLakesHondaCity.com, our exclusive studio partner. We thank them so much. Jumping into the NFL draft is something I want to talk about, with the draft being tomorrow, April 24th, and we'll run through April 26th. This is what the draft looks like for the first round. So for those of you that don't know, April 24th, which is Thursday, that is going to be the first day of the draft, and that is only the first round. On April 25th, on Friday, it's rounds 2 and 3, and then on April 26th, which is Saturday, it's rounds 4 through 7. So first day of the draft is only the first round. Second day, second and third round. Third day, rounds 4 through 7. So that first day of the draft, the number 1 overall pick, and this is barring any trades, we have Tennessee, who's first on day 1. This is the first round of the 2025 NFL draft. Tennessee, so the Titans, the Browns, the Giants, those are the first 3 picks. Patriots, Jaguars, Raiders. Then we have the Jets, then we have the Panthers, the Saints, and the Bears will have the 10th pick, and then the 11th pick, the Niners, then the Cowboys. From there, the Dolphins, the Colts, the Falcons, the Cardinals, the Bengals, the Seahawks, the Bucks, the Broncos, the Steelers, and then we'll see the Chargers, the Packers, the Vikings, the Texans, the Rams. 27th pick, the Ravens, then the Lions, then the Commanders, the Bills, the Chiefs, and your Super Bowl champion Eagles will have the last pick of the first round. So looking at the mock drafts and some of the things that have gone out here, just to take a peek at this, number 1 overall pick, people are saying Cam Ward to the Titans. Now, I hope the best for Cam Ward. He had the second most passing yards in the country behind Kyle McCord of Syracuse. He lost to Kyle McCord head-to-head. But looking at Cam Ward, and I mean, they say the Titans are going to take a quarterback. Now, keep in mind, the Titans brought in Ryan Tannehill, And then after bringing in Ryan Tannehill, they drafted Malik Willis. Didn't even give him a full calendar year. They drafted Will Levis. And now they're potentially drafting another quarterback. So in the last, 5-6 years, this is their third quarterback they would be drafting. I don't think Cam Ward's going to be the franchise answer, but projected that they will go there. I won't be surprised if they do. Travis Hunter to the Browns, I love it because he's a jack of all trades, wide receiver and corner. The Giants taking a defensive player. I'm okay with the Giants taking this now because I think they can get Kyle McCord in the second or third round. So I'm okay with them going with this. Abdul Carter coming from Penn State. I got to watch Penn State. Abdul and the team, that defense was insane this season. The Patriots taking an offensive lineman. Okay, help out Drake May. The Jaguars, with the 5th overall pick, assessing their D-line. I think they have some linebackers. They have some hybrid guys. They definitely need some help in the secondary. They just lost Andre Sisco because they made another stupid move. They do have a quarterback. They do have running backs. They do have wide receivers. Of course, Brian Thomas Jr. coming off of a great rookie season in the receiving core, but they let Christian Kirk go. They traded him away, and they let Evan Engram go for nothing. So, I think Jacksonville could look to some pieces, but the offensive and defensive line, you build championships out of the trenches. So if they go with Michigan's Mason Graham at D tackle, I wouldn't be surprised there. The Raiders in the mock draft I'm looking at taking Ashton Genty. Now keep in mind the Raiders did not want to pay Josh Jacobs. They kept him for a little while and eventually let him go. I think that the Cowboys, it would behoove them to trade up from pick 12 and get themselves a running back. I thought they had pick 13, but they had pick 12. If they can trade up from there, they can get Ashton Genty. In my opinion, Dallas should be really looking at Ashton Genty. I won't be surprised if the Raiders take him, but, to have a guy like Josh Jacobs, to let him go, to see all the good things he's done with the Packers, yet another stupid move, right? These teams that think that running backs are a dime a dozen, Josh Jacobs goes and has a successful season with the Packers, and then you see a 2,000-yard season for Derrick Henry when the Titans let him go. He goes to the Ravens, and then a Super Bowl champion 2,000-yard season for Saquon Barkley, who stays in division of the NFC East, where the Giants decide to not extend him and decide to not give him a good contract, and he goes to the Eagles. So, this Ashton Genty thing, I hope Ashton knows that the Raiders didn't really appreciate Josh Jacobs. So I'd like to see Dallas trade up and take this pick. But if the Raiders do take Ashton Genty, I won't be surprised they do need a running back. The Jets taking Tyler Warren at tight end. Okay, well, the Jets brought in Justin Fields. We know the Jets have multiple running backs. We know their defense has a lot of good pieces to it. So if they take a tight end here and Tyler Warren out of Penn State, could be good for them. Could give them, help produce for them another blocker, not just somebody that can catch out there, but someone who can provide more muscle and more help downfield to get plays to continue, the continuation of runs, the continuation of making sure that a play is going to develop in and of itself, right, to block for the quarterback and help for the quarterback, and then to block and take off and be a weapon, especially in the end zone. I do like this Tyler Warren pick if that happens for the Jets. The Panthers taking a defensive player. The Panthers need help everywhere. Panthers need a quarterback. Panthers need a running back. Panthers need a tight end. Panthers might need some wide receivers. And, of course, they need defensive help. So Carolina could really go anywhere. New Orleans, they could go to defense. I could see them going defensively and their side of things. In Chicago, going to the offensive line, got to protect Caleb Williams, so that could be something to do. The Niners have let go of some defensive players, so them going for a defensive guy would make sense. The Cowboys, this projection that I have here, the Cowboys need a running back one. If they don't trade up to get Ashton Genty, then, they could still take a running back at the 12th overall if they stay there. Jahdae Barron, I had the opportunity to be around him and got to speak with him about his faith, and also got to be around when he decided to keep a press conference going when everybody thought the press conference was over. He decided to keep it going to speak about his love for God and his appreciation for God and his faith. So a lot of wonderful things coming from Barron. They go beyond football. If he's a Dolphin, that'd be awesome. Then maybe I could go see him with my brother Jason Lucas. And then Indy going for offensive line. Okay, if you want to keep going with Anthony Richardson, see what happens there. And then Mike Green coming out of Marshall. Michael Green, could be going to the Falcons. Falcons need help on the defensive side. They've done a lot to assess the offense. Arizona needs help on the defensive side, so I could see them going defensive line or offensive line. And then the Bengals getting help defensively. I mean, there could be a lot of defensive picks here because they need it. Seattle taking Tetaroa McMillan, who started off the season really strong for the Arizona Wildcats at wide receiver. This could be a pick that makes sense. I think Tetaroa could go higher than 18, but I think if he goes to the Seahawks, I mean, obviously they have made some movement with the guys that they have on staff and don't have on staff anymore, and then guys getting older, so they definitely are going to need someone there to catch the ball, and they just brought in Sam Darnold to throw the ball, so we'll see what happens there. And then, Tampa going defense, I could see that. I mean, Tampa's got a lot of offensive weapons. They got a bunch of running backs. They got Baker Mayfield. So, I mean, they could go tight end too. And then Travion Henderson going to the Broncos, Ohio State running back. I got to see this man live. This dude is a big play monster, and Denver desperately needs a QB1, a running back one. So I could see that. The one I'm looking at right now has Shedeur Sanders falling all the way down to the 20s in the draft, and I don't have Shedeur high. I really don't. I don't have Shedeur as a franchise quarterback. It's no offense to him. I trust my gut, and my gut is telling me that if you draft Shedeur Sanders and potentially if you draft Cam Ward, that you're going to be looking for a franchise quarterback in probably 3 seasons. So Shedeur Sanders going to Pittsburgh. I mean, this is the talk that's going out there right now at pick 21. I don't think that Pitt should lean on this, getting rid of Justin Fields, but we'll see. I think Pitt can go elsewhere. And then the Chargers taking a tight end. I mean, the Chargers need a bunch of weapons. They still need to build up their receiving core. Ladd McConkey was a great addition. I thought he'd have a great rookie season, and he did. So I'm happy that that prediction came to fruition. But as far as the Chargers go, I think they need to get some other pieces outside of tight end. But they do need a tight end, too, because it's been a long time since Antonio Gates, and nobody's really filled in. And then for Green Bay going defense, I could see that with Green Bay. I mean, Jordan Love has proven he could do some good things. They obviously have Josh Jacobs still. They got to figure out their receiving core, but I think that Green Bay's got to learn how to stop some people. Minnesota going defense, I could see that too. Minnesota could also go after, well, no, because they have Aaron Jones now. They really don't have to go after a running back. But yeah, I could probably see them going defense. And then Houston, an interior offensive lineman like a Tyler Booker from Alabama. Okay, I think obviously Alabama gets tested in the SEC, and I think, Houston helping out their offensive line. We know they have a running back now. We know they have a bunch of wide receivers when healthy. They got C.J. Stroud. He had a sophomore slump. Let's see how he does in his 3rd season in the NFL. And, I mean, having someone protect for him, I could see that pick going through. That could make a lot of sense. Houston's defense has some good pieces to it, so I could see that happening. And then as far as the Rams getting an offensive lineman, okay. I mean, I think the Rams at this point, if somebody actually valued Kyle McCord the way that they should, they could take him at 26. And then seeing the Baltimore Ravens going to their defense, we know the Baltimore Ravens they could score a ton of points. They do have to get better defensively, so I could see that. And then, Detroit getting some help on their offensive line. This could be something good for them. Donovan Jackson, Ohio State, a guard. I mean, Detroit, think about it. Their defense is done. I mean, I think they can go defense here or offense. You build championships, like I said, in the trenches. So offensive or defensive line could make sense. And then for the Commanders, bringing in a guy like Matthew Golden, who I covered at Texas, a wide receiver, they do have a lot of talent, on the offensive side of the ball. I think Washington might want to go defense here, but we'll see what's best available, I think, at this point. And then Buffalo going defense. You know that Buffalo struggles to stop. They struggle to stop. They got Josh Allen. They got James. I mean, they've definitely they've done some good things with their team. The Buffalo Bills have, but I think that Buffalo, in bringing in the pieces that they brought in and letting go of some pieces that maybe weren't helping the team as a whole, I think Buffalo can be happy with a James Cook, a Ray Davis, and I think they still need some help at wide receiver. They could take a Matthew Golden later on in this first round, and that could make perfect sense to me. I think having Greg Rousseau and Joey Bosa now, AJ Epinesa, Ed Oliver, Matt Milano, Dane Jackson, DeMar Hamlin, and so on and so forth. I think they got some good pieces on their defense. Maybe add a safety or a corner, and see what can happen from there for Buffalo. So, yeah, I mean, if Buffalo goes defense, I don't think I'm going to be all too surprised with that. And then as far as the last two picks, I mean, Kansas City going defense, I think Kansas City goes best available at that point, and I think that Philly goes best available. Donovan Ezaraku coming from Boston College, I got to cover him and speak with him at ACC kickoff. So if he comes as an edge rusher out of BC and is in that first round, that'll be great for Boston College. Little claim to fame, feather in the cap. I talked to Ezaraku about being a part of a historic school when it comes to defense. And, this would be keeping that history going, right? Being a defenseman who gets picked in the first round of the NFL draft. So I think Philadelphia, I mean, yeah, bolster up your defense. We know they got a lot of good offensive weapons. So that could be another good thing for them, right? You want to go back. You want to have an opportunity to win another championship. Well, defense wins championships, right? They condense points. So I think the first round, looking at what I'm looking at right now, makes a lot of sense. A lot of defensive players are going to be chosen. Maybe a couple quarterbacks. Maybe let's say 3 running backs. They've been waiting until the second round to draft running backs in the NFL. Maybe they've learned their lesson, and maybe we'll see a few of them get drafted. Hopefully Ashton Genty, and then maybe a Travion Henderson. Amarian Hampton came up on the list from North Carolina. So hopefully we'll see a bunch of running backs. This one does not show a lot of wide receivers. I think teams are going to have to go offensive and defensive line, and a lot of teams going on the defensive side of the ball. So it may not be that flashy first round that people are hoping for, but you got to get what you need. And sometimes what you need isn't exactly what, the fan base might want, but you have to look at the end of the day, the moves that you make that help you win a championship, at least get to the postseason. So I think there's going to be a lot of defensive players chosen, hopefully a few running backs, maybe a couple quarterbacks. I'd love to see Kyle McCord go to the Steelers, but again, hype rules the day, and it shouldn't. What you actually do, the work you put in, is what should rule the day. So hoping the best for the guys, everyone that's in the draft here. There's thousands upon thousands of players, and there's less than 300 spots. So hoping that things work out for the best for these franchises, as well as for these athletes, and of course for their families. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll wrap things up right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. You will find them open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. They have everything you could be looking for, from singles to graded cards, packs, boxes, and more. Make sure you find your way over to the wonderful GG Cards and Breaks at 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, where you can be a big kid. Disney Lorcana, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, as well as hockey, soccer, AEW, baseball, football, basketball, so many great things. And like I said, singles, graded cards, so you know what you're getting, packs and boxes, so you can open something up and you never know what you're going to get. And that's a lot of fun. It's like opening a gift on Christmas morning any day of the week. So make sure you head out to GG Cards and Breaks today. Keep that kid spirit going and go have some fun. Let them know that DT sent you to 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, Sundays from 10 to 5. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank you for tuning into the broadcast. Benji Ries and Phil Brown providing a double dose of the Dolphin Dive here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Moyne College. And of course, the NFL draft as we get set for the draft tomorrow, speaking on that first round and prognosticating a little bit here. So thank you for being a part of the broadcast on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the world. And of course, thank you for being with us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Big time thanks to the Brooklyn Pickle down in Southern Pines, North Kakalaki. You will find the wonderful Brooklyn Pickle flavors, the taste, the goodness, the sandwiches that are so big, they're as big as your face. And you can go there to the Brooklyn Pickle. They really are huge. They're massive. A whole is, or what is it? Half is a whole and a whole is 2 sandwiches. Go to the Brooklyn Pickle today and find out why New York's been raving about it now that it's down in North Carolina on 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. The Brooklyn Pickle. Go and see them today. And of course, many thanks to our team of partners here in Central and Upstate New York, Great Lakes Honda City, Carvel DeWitt, buy one, get one every Wednesday, the DT Dolphin. The DT Dolphin is my Sunday and ode to the Lemoyne Dolphins down the street from Carvel DeWitt. You can go and get a DT Dolphin any day of the week, only at Carvel DeWitt on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. And when you go over there on Wednesdays, it's buy one, get one day for the DT Dolphin, and you can get that by asking them simply to give you the wonderful combination of mint chocolate chip ice cream, hot fudge, whipped cream, cherry, green and gold sprinkles, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream. Head to Carvel DeWitt today, get the DT Dolphin, and on Wednesdays it's buy one, get one. Perfect time to go with a loved one, on a date, with a friend, because you get 2 for the price of 1 on Wednesdays for the DT Dolphin. The Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world, Avicoli's, Servomation, Mother's Cupboard, where you can get my sandwich 7 days a week. My breakfast sandwich is exclusively at Mother's Cupboard, 3709 James Street in Syracuse. You will get the Cuse Mac Mother. All you got to do is go inside and get the bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast, cut it up and have it with some syrup, pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. The Cuse Mac Mother has been a massive sell from the beginning of the beginning, and you can go and get it today. And when you walk in, you will see the poster right in the center of the 2 special boards. And so make sure you get that at the Mother's Cupboard every day of the week from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. on 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York, the Cuse Mac Mother. Chick-fil-A Cicero, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, Brian's Landing, and we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Moyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Dolphins Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Today you got a double dose because we underpromise and overdeliver. The Dolphins come to you 9 a.m. on Wednesdays Eastern Time worldwide. And of course, in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership, you could find over 200 videos with your Dolphins, student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as on and make sure that you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find the Lemoyne playlist on our YouTube channel. You can also find them, I got ahead of myself here, by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. We've talked to student athletes, I think around the age of 19, as well as a 91-year-old alum of Lemoyne. So a lot of great stuff on our YouTube channel. And of course, you could find more information by going to LemoyneDolphins.com. Fins up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find the Bobcat Buzz every single month with student athletes, coaches, and administration. We got a great one coming up with Stuart Flaherty, the men's soccer head coach, who is now also the head coach of the Denton Diablos FC down in the offseason where Bryan and Stratton is not playing. He's with the Denton Diablos in Denton, Texas, home of the University of North Texas. And so you could check that out coming up tomorrow, my special with Stuart Flaherty. The Bobcat Buzz here with you every single month. Student athletes, coaches, and administration, as well as alumni, connected to Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell. Find the BSC Syracuse playlist. You also find the Bobcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find Binghamton every Tuesday during Bearcat time, worldwide, Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. You'll find stories with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni. Binghamton University on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, find our Binghamton playlist. The Bearcats are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. with that being said here on the show, many thanks to Benji Ries of the baseball team and hoping that Lemoyne makes it to the postseason in the NEC. Big time thanks to Phil Brown talking with us on his first 100 days leading the athletic department at Lemoyne College as their Assistant VP of Intercollegiate Athletics and Campus Rec, and some talk on the NFL Draft as we are on the eve of it here today. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. We have a ton of specials coming up for you worldwide starting tomorrow with Stuart Flaherty. I cannot wait to share that with you. DT and Murphy. Murph and I will be doing a triple box break and breaking down the card world, buying, selling, trading, the stock market of it all, as well as the grading things that are going on with cards and a lot of stuff. You don't want to miss that card conversation, proudly presented by GG Cards and Breaks in Syracuse, New York. And of course, I will have some amazing guests. I will have Jonathan Arbitier, who will be joining me from the tennis team at Binghamton University with the Bearcats ahead of the NCAAs as he is rehabbing and getting better and being a part of such a wonderful team in his first season since transferring from Rider. I have a beautiful conversation about God with Mia Avatins, Liverpool and Lemoyne women's golf alum, and so happy to share that with you. And my buddy Jason Lucas breaks down name, image, and likeness, the transfer portal, and we talk about family and life and friendship. And it's such a wonderful multi-layered conversation that will warm your heart. So a lot of great stuff coming up on Wake Up Call. I appreciate y'all for being here. As always, from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, I say God bless, no stress, do your best. Chase your dreams, hold tight the ones you love, never be afraid to say I'm sorry, and always be a good person. I'll talk with you soon. Take care. Stay safe. God bless, and thanks to my grandparents for all their love, my parents for all their love, Mordu, Cinnamon, Shady, and Lily, to all of my brothers, to everyone that's ever believed in me. God is great. I never know how to say goodbye, so I'll say see you soon. From the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, this is Wake Up Call. And I get to live my dreams every day. Thank God for that.